What is up, everyone? It is Obscure Koi, and I'm doing a beginner guide to the blast furnace in RuneScape. So, to start off the blast furnace, you have to have started the giant dwarf quest, which you don't have to do anything in it, you just have to go start it, and that would be, if you look at my map, you can start that quest if you go northwest of Relica. If you go in this entrance over here, or yeah, right here, you can go in there and you can talk to the dwarf and he'll start up that quest for you. He'll take you on the boat and then he'll take you into where the blast furnace is. An easier way to get to the blast furnace or after you've started that is if you go to the Grand Exchange, which this is a beginner guide, so if you don't know where that is, it is northwest of Varrock. And you go up here, then you can take this trap door over here. And once you take the trapdoor, you will be able to go on this minecart, which will take you to the same place that the boat will take you after starting the giant dwarf quest. Blast furnace is right over here. I'll show you a map when we get closer to there. So this is where the blast furnace is. When you come down here, you will be somewhere over in this general area. And then you'll just want to come up here. There's a bridge you can actually cross right here. Go across this, and then it'll say blast furnace over there. Then you just go in these doors over here. And once you go in here, it is the blast furnace. So this is the actual blast furnace. The things I recommend you get before you start blast furnace would be ice gloves, which are these. Right there, the ice gloves. You can get those if you're a high enough level to fight the Ice Queen, which the Ice Queen's on White Wolf Mountain. Also, if you don't know where that is, White Wolf Mountain is right over here, and you can go in there and look up a YouTube tutorial or some type of guide on how to get to her and fight her, and she drops 1 ice gloves per kill. So I'd get multiple of them because you do need them for quests in the future as well. Another good thing to have would be this coal bag, which is right here. And to get the coal bag, you have to go to the mother lode mine. And after you go to the mother lode mine, you have to start mining the walls and get 100 gold nuggets. And you can look up a guide on how to get gold nuggets and stuff like that too. After you get the 100 gold nuggets, you can get this coal bag, and this coal bag will about double your profits. So it's highly recommended to do so. It took me about 2.5 days of grinding at Motherlode to get 100 gold nuggets, so it does take a long time, but I highly recommend it because the blast furnace is highly profitable. So now that you're down here, let me go over some of the pricing and stuff like that. If you're smithing level, you do have to have a level 30 smithing level to get into here, and then you have to talk to the blast furnace foreman and pay him 2,500 GP per 10 minutes to use the blast furnace. There is this thing called the Coffer, which is right here. You can deposit coins into it, and it'll have dwarves work all the parts of the machine for you, which I highly recommend. To get to the right world for that, what you have to do is go to world 60 or world 358. And they'll have dwarves that will work most of the parts of this. The only thing that you still have to look out for is the temperature gauge, which is right here. And you have to make sure this temperature gauge is in this green, which the dwarves will control by feeding the fire. And there are also pipes that you can fix with a hammer, which there is a hammer up here if you don't have one already. There's a pump over here, which you can operate, which will just help control the temperature. There is the spade to shovel coke into the stove, so you can keep the temperatures good as well, but once again, if you work with the dwarves, then it's so much easier. The pedals also help with the conveyor belt. You actually need this to go to get the conveyor belt to move when you put stuff up there. I'll explain all that in a second. I don't have high enough agility because, as you can see by my stats over here, I'm still pretty new to this game, but I couldn't find a good guide on blast furnace, so I decided to make one myself. There is a bank chest right here. So you can go through your bank and get all your coal and your ore out. So the first thing you're going to want to start with, and the first time I'd recommend even coming to blast furnace, is when you can get steel bars. because steel bars with the ice gloves and the coal bag and stamina potions, you can make about 620k profit an hour, and then you make about 70k XP an hour. For gold, never do gold unless you're going straight for XP, because gold bars will lose about 1.5 mil an hour, but you get 348k an hour. If you Google OSRS spreadsheet, you'll see a spreadsheet by Jihad Squad, and they'll have all the profit and XP per hour for Blast Furnace. If you go over to smithing, I'll put a screenshot up of that now. And then you can look through that and decide what you want to do with that. I highly recommend starting with steel because you'll make a decent profit and it'll help sustain membership bonds throughout playing. You can get a membership bond done in a day if you really wanted to grind it out, or 2 days is acceptable as well. Once you start hitting the Addy bars, you'll get 738k profit an hour and then 86,000 XP an hour, which is one of the best you can do. I mean, Runite bars are obviously the best, but those take all the way up until level 80 smithing, so that will take a long time. It's a great way to boost your smithing level up real quick and make a bunch of profit. So now to go in on how to do this. So what you want to do, if you have a coal bag, I always say have a coal bag in one slot and then a stamina potion you can just rotate out in the other slot. You want to take out your coal, and then you want to fill up your bag, and then do another coal trip. Then you take it over to here, and you put the ore up on the conveyor belt, and then empty your bag, put more ore up on the conveyor belt, and then this is where the bars will actually come out when it's working. It'll tell you how much coal you have in furnace, and then the types of bars that you can actually get from it that have been smithed. This will be running if you're on a blast furnace world. I will switch over to a blast furnace world to show you what it looks like. This is just the basics so I don't lose money in the coffer, because once you put money in the coffer to run the machine and use the machine, it does tick down, and you'll see that in the top left hand corner when I switch over to that world. But that's the basics of blast furnace. Is you just dump your stuff up on this conveyor belt, you run over here, and then you bank it, and then you repeat the process over and over. So the stats for running steel bars and the trips you want to make is you're going to want to do the first trip being 2 full coal, like a coal bag and a coal inventory. So what I just did, where it's all this, fill up your coal bag and then put more coal down, and you want to run this over to the conveyor belt and drop it off, and then come back. And then the next one you're going to want to do, and every other trip after that, you're going to put 1 inventory of coal in your coal bag, and then you're going to take your iron ore, which I do not have any right now, but then you do a whole inventory of iron ore, and you just keep doing that over and over. So you only need to do 1 trip with 2 coal, and then do coal, iron, coal, iron, coal, iron forever, so you can get steel bars. If you start getting iron bars, it just means you skipped a rotation. So just come back, start with 2 coals, and start that all over again, and you'll start getting your steel bars back. Because iron bars will not make that much profit. You will make a little bit, but it's way worth it to just do steel bars. You don't actually need any coal for gold bars. You just run gold ore, put it up on the conveyor belt over here, and then they just come out over here. And then you can bank them if you want to. Gold bars are only used for XP, so I don't recommend doing it unless you have a couple mil to spare. Next after that would be Mithril Bars. Mithril Bars kind of trip me up a little bit, but what you want to do is you want to do your first trip being double coal, and then your next trip after that would be coal mithril, then the next trip would be coal mithril, and then you go back to double coal and you repeat that whole process. The one after that would be the Addy Bars, which Addy Bars are just 1 trip of coal, fill the bag in coal, and then coal and Addy, and then you just repeat those 2 steps over again. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to the Blast Furnace world and show you what it looks like with a bunch of people in it, because the Blast Furnace is always packed because it is so profitable. So this is the Blast Furnace world. It'll take a second to load in. You will see the dwarves over here are working, and they will work the pump, feeding the fire, and also the conveyor belt. You just need to worry about the temperature settings and fixing the pipes with the hammer. If the pipes are broken, you will see people stand up here and just wait for other people to fix them. Please don't be one of those people and actually go get the hammer, put in your fair share, and actually fix the pipes, because they do break quite often. For this video, I will not actually do that because I want to show you as quick as I can go. So basically what you want to do, before I get to that, let me go to the coffer. So the coffer's up here in the top left. As you can see, I have 103k in it, and it does tick down over time. And you can deposit as much money as you want in the coffer, but I recommend starting with like 50k or something, so you can see how fast it ticks down and how fast you can do it. So for this video, I'm going to do silver ore just because I have some left over. Silver ore does not require any coal, so I just take an inventory of it and I run over here. And you just click on that, puts it all down for you, and then you come over back to the bar dispenser. And then you'll see as soon as it turns orange, when it's pouring orange, that means you can take it. Gray means that it's cooled off, and I'll get to that in a second. So now you'll see I'll have 24 silver bars. You just click all, and you can get all your silver bars down here. Then you run back, and then you're going to bank it. And that's what it looks like in a blast furnace world. I'm going to switch back to another world so I can show you more about cooling off bars in lower levels. So now that we're back here, if you do not have ice gloves, then you want to get a bucket, which would be right here. I highly recommend ice gloves though, because it will shave off a lot of your time for making bars, and you don't have to wait on filling up a bucket. But what you do is you fill up the bucket, and then when the ore poured out that was orange, you just take the water and then you're going to use it on the bar dispenser, and it will cool off the bars, so when they're orange it'll turn them gray, so then you can actually grab them. That's for if you don't have ice gloves. So your path for ice gloves would be going to your inventory up here, filling up with the necessities, coming back, dropping them off, and then going over here, filling up your bucket with water over here, and then running back to the bar dispenser, and by that time the bars should be poured out, and you use the water bucket on the bar dispenser, and then that will cool off the bars. So that was my beginner guide on Blast Furnace. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in my comments. I do look at my comments and I do respond. If this video helps you in any way, please leave a like on it. It does really help. And I am Obscure Koi and hope this helped.